Okay. I'll tell you one that they didn't get away with this one. I stopped it. But I'll give you I'll give you a for instance. So we had it was technically a startup, but it was a trading business, been trading a while. And so you've got this sort of thing within accounting. So let's say you take a SaaS product company. They take a 12-month license. They invoice up front, with 30% upfront cash on deposit, and then the remainder over the rest of the rest of the contract. So we had a team come to look at me, and their accounts looked okay, not bad, sort of all right, but their sales were based on invoice all the, which is, from their accounting systems, sales were based on the point of sale. We've generated an invoice, sale, fine. So, we've even had 30% cash up front, great. And they were just about getting by on this point. That's why they were raising, because they were running short of cash. But that is, that revenue recognition is key, and you may or may not want to get into that with team, because if you've got somebody who's invoicing up front, but it's a 12-month contract, that revenue doesn't get recognized. You owe them 11/12 of that invoice at month one, and you owe them 10/12. So I had to take out, a significant, and I put them from something like 100K, like a 50K positive to a 300K negative position on their side. I said, look, you can't do that. Nobody's got to invest. I said, look, this is the reality. If you don't do this, it's going to get found out in the investment process, and you're going to fail. It will. You've got to go. If you invest in somebody, if people get invested in, they go through a due diligence process. Not always, but there should be a due diligence where people will check the tech, will check the finances. Anyone who's going to sign off on a due diligence report from a financial perspective will check stuff like that. So anyway, it took a lot of sweating. They came clean. And then in the first or second investor meeting, the investor said, "Look, we're so glad that you did this. That it's giving you a lot of credibility, because it was a hard thing to do. You've been honest about it, and therefore it's something that we think, we continued the conversation at that point. That was a mistake that they could have made.
Nearly made.
Well, yeah, they anyway roll forward with that, but then again they because that kind of mindset. When the founder's taking that sort of mindset, let's try and massage the numbers, let's try and get it to what the investor wants to see so it looks better. There were other things, the sales were overly optimistic. There were a load of expenses. Another common mistake is that people will have incurred a lot of expenses personally, privately, and they're owed that money, but they haven't put it in with the financials because they didn't want the financials to bear that cost, and they wanted it to look better. So again, post-investment, rolling forward, sales are on the, every board meeting spent discussing why revenues aren't on target, why the company's not, spending plans not on plan, so on and so forth. Then the director brings in a load of expenses that weren't fully disclosed as part of the, it's still a decent company that's still going, but it made 6 to 12 months of the whole investment process really, really hard to take for everybody. So I think that the common mistakes are because people have this expectation, they try and just, massage the numbers on the revenue line. They try and keep certain costs out of the business. And more often than not, people don't take a step back and just think about, a lot of the time, especially with a financial plan, I say this to my staff all the time, we all get caught into this sort of, this focused in on this set of numbers. And then rather than taking a step back and seeing this is real world stuff. This isn't theory, it is to a certain extent. We're creating a forecast, but when you're putting in the rental costs, have you what's how many square feet? What's the average cost per square feet? Is it going to need? There was I've seen events companies that haven't factored in cleaning costs. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of thing. So it's sometimes taking a step and asking really, really simple. Like I quite often when I deal with any new client, really, I sort of try and describe myself as Columbo, because I'll keep asking stupid questions. I don't mind. I've seen a number of businesses fail because I didn't have the guts to ask those difficult questions. So sometimes it's if you don't, it's Emperor's New Clothes within Startup Land all the time. So if you've got to take a step back, view it as if this is a real world thing, and have they thought about what the telephone's going to cost? And maybe you don't want to get too much into the minutiae, but just hold on a sec. Surely if you're paying for this, you're licensing this software and you're charging it out to customers at this, I can't see a licensing cost in there, for example. You know what I mean? So So a lot of the time it's just people being too scared to ask the thing that they know they should ask, really.
And that's a really good point, I think, because I think that's something that everyone can relate to a certain extent, of like not wanting to be the person in the room who looks silly, who, you know, has missed something or it doesn't quite get something. But then, you know, I've been mentoring now for a number of years, and in that situation, you have to be able to put yourself in that situation too, of just asking silly questions all the time, not expecting to be the expert. And I've heard VCs saying as well that actually one of the brilliant things about being a VC is that they get to ask stupid questions all the time about various technologies that are interesting to them, and you know, various aspects of business. And so to some extent, being a VC and doing this kind of Columbo detective work is about asking stupid questions.
Absolutely. I use the analogy before. I use it all the time. I literally can't wire a plug. You know, I don't know how to do it. You know, I'd blow myself up if I tried. So if I'm speaking to an electrician about his accounts, you know, it's the same as if he doesn't know the difference between gross profit and net profit. That's fine. You know, I made a joke of that before. It's if you don't understand something, that's fine. It's being confident enough in that you're not stupid. And because stupid is, you know, if anything, the only stupid question you can ask is he's not stupid. He's not asking. Or the only stupid thing to do is not asking the question. So it's being able to sometimes, and because the other thing is that, you know, you can be smart in a number of ways, and some founders who are smart is that they read those kind of things. It's like, you know, it's really hard to go through an interview process for salesmen because they're all really good at selling themselves.
Yeah.
So founders are really good at reading those kind of situations and glossing over certain. If I don't understand, if somebody, you know, I asked, you know, going back before, where's that revenues come from? Oh, right. Well, you know, and they'll, you know, if they rapidly shoot a load of numbers, make sure that you understand what they've just said, because there's been a number of occasions where I've been validated myself in continuing to drill into it, or the founders, you know, been it's pointed out to them quite rightly, you know, that needs addressing, you know. I think there's a lot to be said for that.
Yeah, that's it's about having the confidence, isn't it, to just go, okay, I didn't quite get that. You know, can you just go back to this for me, or something just doesn't feel right here. Yeah.
And it's not to be confrontational about it. As I say, that's the, you know, it's just to understand.
Yeah, which is, as you said, like better for everybody going into the relationship if everything's kind of upfront.
I tell teams a lot of the time that, you know, it's better to get, you know, it's much better to be dealing with an investor who's asking the tough questions. It means they're smart investors, you know. Sometimes some of them can just be objectionable, you know. But I say it's mostly angels.